I hope people are enjoying the reflections on the 8 dangers as much as I am. And I wanted to work on one today that I've been working on too. It's the fire of anger. Driven by the wind of inappropriate attention, billowing forth swirling smoke clouds of misconduct, it has the power to burn down forests of goodness. The fire of anger, please protect us from this danger. And I probably should say, for the people who aren't in this room, this is from the poem that's in our Tara Sadhana. It is by the, which number Dalai Lama? First Dalai Lama, describing 8 afflictions or 8 external harms, but mostly 8 afflictions with which our Tara practice helps us. And I'm drawing from Venerable Chödrön's book, How to Free Your Mind, Tara the Liberator. It has a different color cover these days from this. So the fire of anger. Often when we're working with anger, we go straight to the affliction. And that's good to note. What is anger? Can people recite this definition? It's a mental factor that being unable to bear a person, object, situation, idea, and so forth harbors ill will towards it or wishes to harm it. That's a definition. It's maybe not the most technical. It covers a range of emotions that includes annoyance, irritation, frustration, and so forth. It is one of the root disturbing emotions, and it has only a negative meaning. So we've talked about anger here many times. I assume people work with that, and we apply the antidotes of meditating on love and developing fortitude and all the different ways that we do that, remembering that our suffering is coming from our own past experience. But in retreat, what I'm really driven to with this one is to look at the first sentence. What is it that is preceding this anger? Driven by the wind of inappropriate attention. So here we are in silence. So having this chance to look at the inappropriate attention part, I think, is very, very valuable. As Venerable says here in her commentary, like a raging forest fire, anger begins with a tiny spark, and fueled by the wind of inappropriate attention that focuses on and exaggerates the negative qualities of someone or something, anger flares up. So the deepest cause of our anger is our ignorance, misconceiving reality that we know. And then other factors contribute that include the seed of anger that's in our mind stream all the time. We may have habits of getting angry. This inappropriate attention is the forerunner. It's a mental factor that exaggerates the negative qualities of a person, object, situation, or idea, or projects negative qualities that are not there, thus creating an incorrect story about it. Now, we know that definition too, but to take that definition off the page and put it into my mind, it's the mental factor that's paying attention and exaggerating negative aspects of people, exaggerating the negativities about ideas, exaggerating the negativities about situations and objects, and is making up stories about them. So when we're on the cushion, or we're in the kitchen, or we're at the dining room table where we're not talking, and we're ruminating on a problem, attributing negative emotions to people, convincing ourselves about the other people's ill will, convincing ourselves about our own deficiencies actually can also be a part of this, jumping to conclusions about the reason actions happened or the reason people said what they said. This is inappropriate attention. Exaggerating the negative qualities. Inappropriate attention also works in attachment in that exaggerating the positive qualities. But today we're on this verse, the fire of anger. So let's say someone makes a comment to me very casually and says something like, "Oh, I see you're wearing that hat again." I see you're wearing that hat again. 7 words. nothing else. I hear it. The literal words are, I see you're wearing that hat again. But let's say I'm self-conscious about the hat. It's old, it's tattered, I really like it, it's very comfortable, but I'm a little self-conscious that people will think I'm, kind of not taking care of myself or too poor to buy a new one or whatever. So I'll think people will think badly of me for wearing it. So when this person says something about my hat, I've already got a story about it. And I think she's judging me. So let's say in the past, I've heard this person say things that I consider judging me before. And I've thought about it. She's judging me. She's really judging me. She's judging that person too. She's a judgmental person. I see that she's a judgmental person. I already have this. Inappropriate attention has run a story. And then as soon as she says these words, I see you're wearing that hat again. This judgmental person is putting me down. She's trying to put me in my place. Who does she think she is? She's this arrogant something, so-and-so who thinks, she looks so cute. She's got that new little knitted maroon hat with the button on it. She thinks she's something special. But no. We sit on the cushion, we think about it. Who does she think she is? We sit at the dining room table. Who does she think she is? This is a story concocted by inappropriate attention. And our anger just rages, billowing, swirling smoke clouds of inappropriate attention, as the poem says. Driven by the wind of inappropriate attention. It's the billowing, swirling smoke clouds of misconduct that arise, burning down the forest of goodness from our anger. But we can get so confused. I can get so confused. And I see this happening in my mind. The story grows. It does become a swirling something. And the exaggeration just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then the tendency, anytime anybody mentions my hat now, doesn't matter. Your hat fell on the floor. My hat, they're judging me, right? Just like that, because inappropriate attention has now built up. So this is the interesting thing about studying these imprints and habits. The habit grows from running this thought over and over and over again until I'm so sensitive about any aspect of it that my anger immediately erupts and arises. Does this sound familiar? Venerable Children says something cute about this in one of her teachings on it. She says, it's also boring to think about the story in the same way, so we spice it up. So over time, you get tired of kvetching about the person on the cushion who said something about my hat, so the story gets bigger and bigger. And it reminds me of a story about my mother. I was with her once. She was telling a story about, I don't even know what the story was about, but she was relating an incident that had happened. It was the third time I'd heard her tell the story, and every time it's getting a little bit bigger. And by the third time I said, Mama, that's not what happened. She said, shh, makes a better story, right? We all have inside ourselves a little part that makes a better story. And even, especially in silence, we're an audience of one. Now, sometimes we grab somebody here. I've done it in the dining room. We grab them in the corner and so we've got our story coming out as well. So we're sharing it with others. Now we're into creating divisive speech because we want the person who's listening to our story support our anger. And you talk about a forest fire of anger. It's nuts. This little mental factor of inappropriate attention, exaggerating the qualities, and then running with it, and then not getting off of it. As Venerable Jigme says, just drop it. We haven't gotten to just drop it yet. So we all have this. We all do this. And it causes so much pain for ourselves. And then we start opening our mouths to others, and it creates a lot of pain to them too. So my only point in bringing this up is to say that this verse isn't just about the anger. It's about the fuel of the inappropriate attention that brings it on. And so you know, what I'm trying to do, and actually this is actually working very well, what I'm trying to do in this retreat is really pay attention to how the mind is running with this. And one antidote that can be used is that as soon as I see I'm running a story, I start Tara's mantra. I mean, that just cuts it off. And if I go back to it, then you do more mantra. But you have to be watching your mind. I have to be watching my mind enough to actually catch it. And this is not suppressing the feeling. It's just cutting off something that isn't true, right? And one of the things that Venerable has often says is to notice when I'm upset or I'm unhappy. First, notice what affliction is in my mind right now. And second, this phrase I also find very helpful. I am not seeing reality at this moment. And that also cuts it off. So you can take a little step back and go, okay, what did I actually hear? As we learned in nonviolent communication, what's the observation? She said, I see you're wearing that hat again. Period. Period. No motivation, no story, no harm. But we do have to catch it and cut it off. And then when we can do that, then we can go to the later commentary verses where Venerable talks about the antidotes to anger, fortitude, the ability to remain internally calm when confronting harm or suffering. It's the main antidote to anger, cultivating love and so forth. We can remember again, as I said, that this is our karma ripening. Patient fortitude calms our mind so that with clarity and wisdom we can consider various courses of actions and choose one that will bring the most benefit and least harm to everyone in the situation. With patience or fortitude, we are able to act firmly, sometimes with peaceful strength, other times with assertive compassion. But sometimes assertive compassion isn't needed. We just need to go, oh, she said 7 words. There was no harm. I can drop it and go on to a different story.